What up YouTube, it's Alex from A. Lewis Films, and today we're talking about real estate videos. If you're a videographer looking to make some extra cash, or you're a property photographer already, and you want to add video to your portfolio, then this video is definitely for you. Guys, before we get into the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could check out my channel and consider subscribing for more filmmaking tips and tutorial videos. And corgis. I just want to touch on a couple of things before we get into the actual tour. So I personally prefer to shoot my real estate tours in 60 frames per second because it gives me a lot of flexibility in post to kind of speed shots up or slow shots down. I like adding some motion and ramping, like anything that you can really do to add some movement and some life to the video, because if you just throw some slider shots onto some elevator music, it just gets super boring. So another crucial tip for a real estate video is to make sure that you're shooting the video at the brightest part of the day. So a few people have asked me, like, how do I get hired to do real estate shoots, and also how much money do I make doing real estate shoots? And I would say to people wondering how I get hired for real estate shoots is, originally I was asked to do photography. So after working with a couple of clients doing photography, I had a few people that were interested in video, and I shot some video for them, and then eventually they just fell in love with the videos, and it really made like a wow factor for their clients. But these tend to be more of like the luxury agents. So you'd have to really kind of work up to a point where you're consistently doing video work. Typically, agents are not looking for luxury real estate videos until they tap into that market. So when it comes to pricing, I would say sit anywhere between $500 and $2,500, depending on the size of the property and also what type of agent you're working with. So one last tip I have for you before we get into the video is to set expectations with the realtor or the client, whoever it is that you're working for, because it's very important to know going into the shoot, what are the parts of the house that stand out, what are some shots that they would really like, what's some shots in other videos that they really liked and preferred. So you have like a really solid foundation when moving into the shoot, so you know what to do. It's like a couple of tips using the drone. It's really important just to kind of keep your shots really simple, kind of just pushing forward and also doing kind of side rotations to really see the landscape of the entire property, because any potential buyer is really going to want to see the entire landscape, even if the yard is not that big. Just give them like a good viewpoint of their surroundings. So we're going to go ahead and fire up the Mavic Pro. Make sure you're not hitting any trees or other people's homes. All right, so now we're out front of the house and we're gonna focus on getting some establishing shots. Today I'm using the Sony 6500 matched with the 10 to 18 millimeter lens, paired that with the Zhiyun crane. This is the first generation, second version of the Zhiyun crane. Let's go ahead and do a couple of push-ins and I'll show you how to get that done. Now you gotta remember, when it comes to gimbals, altogether, the sillier that you look when you walk in, the better your shot is. That is a given for all gimbals, Steadicams, movies. It's really the heel to toe action, so it makes you look awesome. So keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and knock out the rotation shot here. Okay, so on that last shot, I noticed that I really liked the foreground of the tree here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do one more final shot on the outside, kind of using the tree as kind of like a foreground. So here we go. Can you stand back a little bit? I'm getting in my shot now. So one of the most famous kind of shots that realtors love to see is the front door kind of opening. That's like the official inviting shot. So let's try that one more time. Let's do it a little bit quicker.
Okay.
So for this shot, it's really important to kind of have your white balance and your ISO set for the inside shot, because once you go from the outside with the blue lighting, you're gonna wanna push into the orange lighting where it's gonna be a lot darker. So right now, my image is a bit blown out and kind of funky looking on the white balance because it's set for the inside. So when you're starting in the foyer, this is a typical kind of house layout where you'll have like an office or a sitting room and then a dining room as soon as you walk in. So I try not to get too complicated by trying to do everything in one huge sweeping motion. Mostly just focus on like each room as a solo piece. And then just kind of introduce each room with like a different type of movement, either be like more of like a sideways parallax or more of like a reveal upwards or downwards. I think for this shot, we're gonna do more of like a down to up with a little bit of a rotation. So let's go ahead and do that. And action. All right, so for like the dining room shot, we're gonna kind of continue with the transition, and that's like either moving up or down nice and smooth. Okay, so I just knocked out like a nice little rotating shot of the dining room. So what I'm gonna do with this one is I'm gonna kind of make two shots into one. So I'm gonna kind of run by the dining room and the left side of the frame, and then we're gonna move into the living area here. Kind of introducing the living space. Nice side rotation. Keep in mind, these movements always need to be really smooth and slow. As long as you're shooting in 60 frames per second, you don't need to really adjust your speed until you get into post, which is most important because that's when you can do your speed ramping, which I like to do in a lot of cases. But yeah, just keep one smooth, slow, constant pace throughout all your movements, and then just adjust in post is the best way to do it. It's important to be able to see the countertops. I don't like to hold the camera up too high. I think like a more lower angle with a big wide lens, it kind of lets you sit right on top of the counters to see, and then also gives you like a nice upward wide movement, which really expands the space. I'm just gonna kind of get this all in one go here. Nice rotating movements around the table. Okay. Here with our upward reveal. So continuing, we just want to get like a nice, slow, rotating kind of movement. Anything too fast is just kind of jarring unless you're using that speed as just like a transition. A good idea too is to talk with the realtor and the homeowner before the shoot, and to really just cover all the bases of like, what are the big selling features of the home, you know, what kind of shots would just really stand out and what kind of shots that they want to see in the video. So it's always important to keep that in mind. So let's go grab this lake shot. Careful with these steps, man. It's not like full on ice, but it's still slippery. Cool, okay. So with the smaller rooms, it's gonna be a little tougher, but you just gotta do what you can with it. That's really where this 10 to 18 millimeter lens just kind of excels. So you gotta have these lenses to do this stuff. Like, it's nice to have like a tighter focal length to get like smaller details and stuff, but this is a must have for these shoots. Okay, let's go. Nice rotate. Good. Okay. I'm gonna have to go down and kind of push in, and then maybe also from one of these corners. So let's start maybe here. I can still see the top of my head. I can still see the top of my head. Yeah. This is a tough one. All right, yeah, you're gonna have to. Important to keep those rotations nice and smooth. So this is a little bit of a difficult shot. This is like a walk-through bathroom. Two rooms are connected. So you're gonna see that there's two doorways and then there's a big mirror. So getting these mirrors out of the shot is always something difficult, but what we can do is either we can go low or we can kind of just do like more of like a slider action through the door frame. So I'm gonna try each one of those and see which one looks the best. So this is gonna be more of like our slider type shot. Okay, yeah, I'm doing 4K on this one. All right, so run into a bit of a problem. It's getting darker sooner than we expected, and we're losing a lot of light, especially in the basement. So what I'm gonna do to compensate for that is I'm gonna switch over to 24 frames per second, 4K on the Sony 6500, which is gonna allow me to stop my shutter way down, which is gonna bring a lot more light into my lens. So I'm just gonna focus on getting some really smooth movements. This is more of like the man cave downstairs area, a lot of extra open room, not a whole lot of stuff going on. So I feel like I can get some really good smooth shots down here without having to need the ramping, motion or the slow motion. So let's see what we can do. I'm gonna actually kind of introduce this room too, so let's move back. And let's go. And as you can see, we have like a bar kind of at the other end of the room here. So we're gonna get the shot from this direction too. I'm gonna get kind of a downward. Actually, let's see which one. Nope, I like the skylights in here, so I'm gonna go from the ceiling down with like a little revealing motion. So, keeping the movement nice and still. Cool. Get like a little rotate of the bar here. I'm gonna watch out for these wind mirrors. All up in that shot. Right, I'm gonna have to get behind me, Kevin, because you keep getting in this mirror here. I'm gonna kind of rotate this way towards the table.